Hello, this is Amanda from Willow and Pip. I make handmade soap, candles, and body and bath products. This channel is about sharing my small business journey, as well as recipes and any tips, tricks, or advice I have along the way. Today, I am making some Repair Balm. This is a natural, unscented balm that is meant to be applied to your skin, and it's perfect for winter, dry weather. So I make this a lot this time of year. We're just going into the fall and winter season. So if you have anyone in your life that gets eczema or dry, cracked hands, you can put it around, your nose. If you get those like red flare-ups, you can put this stuff on your lips. It's really popular. It's really easy to make. And it's a really, really high seller for me, especially this time of year. So if that's something that you're interested in and you want the full recipe and instructions, stay tuned. Because we are going into the fall and Christmas market season where those of you who run your own soap, body bath business know it's the busiest time of year for selling these types of products, I am making a quadruple recipe today. So I will share this full recipe in the description of the video below. And you can either make more or less as you see fit. So today I'm going to be making enough to fill 16 of these tins. And these tins are exactly 2.12 ounces. And I buy them from a company called YellowBee, which is located in Alberta, Canada. And if you just Google YellowBee, and then on their website, you can click their links to their tins, or I believe they have a search bar as well. And again, these are the 2.12 ounce tins. So I usually buy a large quantity of these. I go through this Repair Balm at quite a rapid pace, especially this time of year. And this Repair Balm is actually something that I do stock on my website too. So I do get some sales online for this balm. And I think the reason it's so popular is because it's effective. It's got really simple, clean ingredients. And being in Canada, a lot of us suffer from dry, cracked skin, especially as you move into the dry, cold months. So anyway, customers really love this, and I hope you do too. So I just start by opening up all of the tins and lids. And what I have in this spray bottle is just rubbing alcohol. You can buy this from any drugstore. I get mine from Rexall, but you can also buy it on Amazon. It doesn't matter what percentage it is, just any type of rubbing alcohol. And I give this a nice spritz. And what that does, I do the bottoms and the lids, and that just disinfects if there is anything on there that shouldn't be. It just pre-cleans your containers, and especially because you are going to be adding ingredients that you're going to be putting on your skin, you want this to be nice and clean. So that's always step one. And this takes usually maybe 5 minutes to dry. So by the time you get your other ingredients ready, these are ready to go. And while we're waiting for these tins to dry, I'm just going to set this aside while I show you how I get the ingredients melted for pouring into the tins. Again, this is a super easy recipe. This is something that takes me usually about 30 minutes max to make. And it's something that if you do run your own soap and candle business, it's something that you might consider adding to your line as well. So first we are going to start by measuring out our grapeseed oil. I'm going to turn my scale on. Tare it so it's 0. And I'm doing all of this by weight today, and I'm using grams. So I'm going to start with 304 grams of grapeseed oil. Next, I'm going to add 192 grams of beeswax. And I get my beeswax in these little pellets, as you can see, in a little bag. And I buy this bag off of Amazon. And it's 192 grams. The reason this recipe is so easy is you just add everything at once and you do your melting at once. And it is just the slickest thing. I should also say I get my grapeseed oil from Costco, but you can get it from any grocery store as well. I just buy my grapeseed oil in bulk because I make soap as well. And I use grapeseed oil in my soap. Now you could measure out the ingredients individually as well if you were worried about overpouring or going overweight. I just go quite slowly and controlled. That it's not as big of a deal for me, but when I first started doing these recipes, I did measure everything out and add it in the container one by one. Okay, the next ingredient we're working with is shea butter. I buy my shea butter in these bags from Kendora Soap. They're a company in London, Ontario, and I order online, but I believe you can go there to pick up your ingredients as well if you're local. And we're going to add 460 grams of shea butter. I'm just going to transfer this into my larger measuring cup because I'm running out of space in the more medium measure cup. So I'll transfer it over. It's unfortunate because I hate doing more dishes than I need to, but I would rather be safe than sorry because we are going to melt this and I don't want it to overflow and cause waste. And our last ingredient is vitamin E oil, and we are going to add 8 grams. All right, so what I do next is I zap this in the microwave on small spurts. So I would do 45 seconds at a time until everything is completely melted. You will find that the beeswax pellets take the longest to melt. And so I will probably do two zaps of 45 seconds and give it a stir, and then continue with 45-second zaps in the microwave, stirring in between each interval until everything is fully melted. So I have zapped this 4 times at 45 seconds, and you can just see it's partially melted. I don't like to zap it too quickly. The oil will be hot, and I don't want to overheat or scorch the shea butter. I have never had that happen, but I have heard from other makers that it can happen, so it's something that's always in the back of my mind. And I find with the oil being heated, it will start, it's obviously still hot, you can feel to the touch, and it'll naturally continue to melt some of the ingredients. So I like to just give it a little bit of a break here. Give it a little bit of a stir, try to melt some of this without it being in that direct forced microwave heat. Just for about that long, and then I will pop it back in and start zapping it again for 45-second intervals. It's my second time taking a break with the microwave. I've put it on for 2 more 45-second intervals. I'm just mixing again. So everyone's microwave will be a bit different brand, different strengths. So if you stick to the 45-second interval and just continue this process until fully melted, you will get there. We just may get there at different speeds. Third time stirring. So those beeswax pellets are almost melted, but still holding on a little bit. You want to be careful to make sure those beeswax pellets get completely melted. If not, they will reharden into their original form, or they'll be partially still in their original little pellet form, and you don't want hardened little bubbles or circular pieces in your Repair Balm, because from a consistency standpoint, you would feel that when you go to apply the product. So you can see at the final stage, I had enough heat to completely melt the remnants of those beeswax pellets, and I'm really happy how that turned out. And that's really kind of a perfect, when you do the intervals at the 45 seconds, you really have a lot of control because you're not heating it for long enough to sort of lose control or to overheat, which is exactly what you would not want to have happen because you are heating hot oils and butters. So as you can see kind of how that melted in real time, that's really how you want it to play out. Okay, so I'm just going to start pouring very slowly into my tins. And I do have just a paper towel here on my hand that you can see. It was just a little bit warm after heating after so many intervals. And I think this feels okay, so I'm just going to carefully pour into my tins. I find that after you get the first couple of pours, the pouring becomes easier. And the way I like to do it is fill the tins mostly full. Try to get all of my tins used evenly, and then I will go back and top up. Because I have made this recipe before, I'm comfortable. I don't weigh every single tin. I find if I do that, I would be taking forever. These are handmade goods. These are handmade products. I feel like, I've already done the weighing. I've already done the measuring. I know how much they fill. I can double the recipe now to get the, larger quantity of tins, but I don't think anyone's going to care if you're off by, 1 gram per tin. That's pretty marginal in the grand scheme of things. And if they did, I think they would be buying, from big box stores, machines pouring. That's not my style. So this is how I choose to do it. Don't come at me, please. I'm just sharing my techniques, my style, in hopes that it helps you. If you don't do it that way, that's okay. I'm just going to move this a little bit more central. Whoops, almost lost them there. The nice thing about this recipe is you can reheat it as I was. So you'll see that as we get closer to the bottom. If it starts to kind of firm up too quickly, I'll just give it another zap, or you can do that if you need to. These Repair Balms, when they dry perfectly flat, and they're like this kind of semi-solid. The shea butter and the beeswax really help it take that firm shape, and it just is the most moisturizing, skin healing balm. I love these. My husband asks for these every year, so I always make him some. And he uses them after he shaves on his face. He uses them on his hands. He does a lot of woodworking and whatnot with his hands. So I'm just getting down a little bit our eye level with these tins so I can top these up, because quite a few of them are quite low. You might not be able to see that just based on the direction of the camera. I'm just going to go back through now and top them up as best I can. I find, again, this is just how I do it, but there's a fill line. They have ridges on these tins, and I just fill it right to the very top line, the last line, and it works out quite nicely for me. And if I happen to have a little bit left over, I will put these in a tin for myself because I will pop one of these in my purse and take it with me to work so that I can have one on hand too. Because I do find there are times where I make all of this stuff for other people and then I'm without as it goes. Mm-hmm. So again, I know this is maybe not the traditional way of doing it. You could put each one of these on a scale, measure, the weight of each one, but when you have these ridges on the inside and you have a fill line to work to, I really don't see the value of doing that. And I don't think anyone who buys my products would care either. Okay, so there you have it. That pretty much filled my whole recipe. So doubling worked quite nicely. I have a little bit left. I'll probably scrape through and reheat and just put in a tin for my own use. I'll probably only get, maybe a third or a quarter of a tin filled for myself, which is absolutely fine. These will start to harden up actually fairly quickly, but I always leave them overnight. Then I will put the lids back on them, and I use a 2.5 round inch sticker. You can buy any brand of sticker you want. You can go on Avery. I go on onlinelabels.com and I buy their 2-inch round stickers, and I design the sticker labels from Canva, print them on my home computer, attach them, and I do the same for the ingredients, which I use the same sticker. I just have all the ingredients listed out according to Canada label laws and put it right on the bottom of the tin. And again, these sell really, really well. My customers really love them. My family and friends really love them. I love this, and I hope you do too. That's it for today. If you enjoyed this and want to see more, I would appreciate it if you would hit the like button and subscribe. Thanks, folks. Bye.